The son of Iran's president says the new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, is, quote, safe and sound. That's after earlier reports said the son of the late Ayatollah was injured in that same strike that killed both his father and his wife on day one of the war. We're going to talk more about this now with France 24's Angela Diffley, who joins me on set. Angela, Israeli intelligence is telling the Reuters news agency that it thinks the new supreme leader is, quote, lightly wounded. I mean, what does that mean? Is he actively in charge? Do we know more about who is running Iran at the moment?
We don't. You can sort of try to piece together what you think might be happening, talking to, Iran watchers, Iranians here in Europe or in exile elsewhere who follow this very closely. There is the Iranian constitution, which said that in the event of Khamenei dying, then those who take over are a committee of the president, Pezeshkian, the head of the judiciary, and a senior cleric. But there is also the case that under the Iranian constitution, Khamenei was allowed to delegate a lot of authority, and he did so before he died. In practice, a lot of the day-to-day running of the country appears to have been done by Masoud Larijani, who is the head of the National Security Council. And he, it seems, was valued for his competence and ability to carry out the wishes of Khamenei. And it does appear perhaps as though he is more or less running things on the administrative side. That said, it is clear that the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Council, is in charge at the moment, in that when the 88-member panel met to choose who would be the successor to Ali Khamenei, the person appointed, of course, is his son, you've just been talking about, who we understand, according to Israeli intelligence, is probably lightly wounded, was wounded on the day of the attack when his mother, father, wife, and one of his sons was killed. So he has a very personal investment now in this war. He was picked, it appears, by the IRGC to project continuity. And it does look to be, in some ways, quite a clever move, because the Israelis had already said, look, whoever you pick will have a target on their back. We will kill them. And whether or not he is just simply a figurehead projecting continuity, saying we will be carrying on, nothing has changed, but that, in fact, they, the generals, the IRGC, are running things, that does appear to be what's going on. It is noticeable as well, again, very reliant on Israeli intelligence, but we're not hearing anything about any defections. This group of people has so much invested, so much blood on their hands, so much invested in the economy. They largely run the Iranian economy, and they have every incentive to fight on, and no incentive to give up.
Right. And of course, there has been encouragement from the U.S., from Israel, to have the Iranian people rise up, perhaps overthrow this regime that's been in power for so long, take control of their country. But for the moment, it doesn't seem like that kind of uprising is even starting to happen.
Yeah, it is very interesting. There was a report, a national security report in the U.S., which said shortly before this war started that should there be an attack on Iran, it is unlikely that such an attack would dislodge the regime. For whatever reason, it appears that the Americans decided to go ahead anyway. And it does appear that very many of those who were out on the streets, obviously that rebellion was crushed brutally in January. We're not sure what is happening now. We do know the security forces are still out there. They issued a warning just today saying anybody protesting will be treated as we are treating our enemies. It is very clear that there will be a bloody crackdown if anything does happen. But we are hearing voices, and again, this is coming from those people who are still in contact with Iranians, of people who did rise up in January and thought that anything would be better and really wanted some sort of outside intervention, but who are now looking and saying, well, look, now we just have another Khamenei as supreme leader, only this one is younger and likely to last longer, and we also have a ravaged country. There's also, of course, the phenomenon which happens so often when a country is attacked, when there is a war, even a disunited population, a polarized population, sometimes there is a rallying around the flag. Perhaps that's happening too. For the moment, there's no sign of any uprising.
Angela, thank you.